Okay, stop. Do this for me. Think for just one moment about that feeling when you're seemingly in the middle of something ordinary and suddenly it hits you that you're living a moment that you once had really only hoped for. Isn't that wild? Welcome to Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. I am so happy you're here. Well, hello. I wanted to keep this exciting and lighthearted this episode since I want to really touch on what it is this week. It's a holiday week, Thanksgiving, lots to be thankful for. And as I've connected with more people that listen, which I'm so grateful for, one of the biggest themes I get, and so I want to hopefully share with y'all, is just how grateful I am for everything in my life and how people seemingly tell me that they're really happy to hear kind of a positive perspective on some things in life. And I know there's a lot of positivity in the world, I like to think, but the more that I really work through this whole new me and wandering this mess, I realize that the more that I heal and work on myself and have empathy for other people and see different perspectives and talk to more people, I really realize that it's it's easy to say we're grateful, because most of us, if you're listening, you're in your car, so you have a car, you have a job, you have a home, you are warm at night, you get to sleep in a bed. There's all these millions and millions of things we could list off that you're probably pretty grateful for. But we just kind of go through the motions and we don't really sit and go, "Wow, I'm so grateful that I don't have to walk to work when it's 30 degrees." And and which is great to, acknowledge that at a high level and then move on with your day. But what I realize more and more that I get asked is, how do you stay in that gratitude throughout the day? Because a lot of us realize that we may wake up and hopefully the first thing you do when you wake up is say the things you're grateful for. And if you don't do that, I highly recommend it. And guess what? No one has to know. So if it's a guy and you're like, I don't want to do that, sounds cheesy, you don't have to tell anybody. Just open your eyes and be like, I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for a fridge full of food. I'm grateful for, the person I woke up next to, whatever it is. It just really starts your day as this like, "Oh my gosh, look what I get to wake up to and do in my life," kind of attitude. So that would be my first thing that I would say, set your day. I get to wake up, I get to feel this way. It just helps. But another thing I have been learning on my whole journey is a lot about just stopping in the moment and being so grateful just to be in it. And being alone like I have been, and when I say alone, I've made some great friends, but I've definitely been more alone and had more alone time than I ever had in my entire life, if I think about it. And I recall a time, which I hope you guys can put yourself in that place. You've been there because I think it's just such a critical part of life when you can be somewhere, whether you're like on a tree stand or you're in getting a massage or a facial, or for me, it was in the grocery store. I was literally in Kroger and I'm walking down the aisle and I decide to like buy myself flowers. And I put them in the cart. And as I'm just pushing my cart down the aisle and I have like a few things in those flowers in the cart, I just start crying. Of course, I know this is the theme, but I'm just crying these like tears of joy because I like love myself enough to want to buy myself flowers. And I know maybe that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's really just the act of like, what do I need and what am I giving myself? And it's not like this, like, okay, we're going on like this shopping spree. I mean, I can't say I don't do that, but it's really like the thought of like this simple thing that I'm doing for myself makes me feel so good. And I'm so grateful that I care for myself in that way. And I know a lot of us kind of go through life and sometimes we just don't put ourselves first. We aren't grateful for our small wins. We get so wrapped up in, getting to the next goal, accomplishing the next thing, being the best, letting people see all the things we've acquired. And it gets really, really muddy and we stop focusing on all the little things that we have to be grateful for. As if there's like some amount of trophies we're trying to acquire to like whoever has the most wins at the end of the day, we all leave and nobody takes their trophies. They don't take their cars. They don't take their house. They don't take the things. Literally, none of that. But yet we're so oftentimes fixated on like this vision of what it has to be in order for us to be grateful and happy. And frankly, we're spending a lot of our lives trying to, and I heard someone say this, prove that our existence is worth something. But we're proving it in these ways that are so tied up in what everyone else wants from us. And I'm saying all that to tell you that when you're spending your holiday however you will, and you're around people that you love and that hopefully you're grateful for. I know that sometimes the family dynamic can be stressful, but whether you're with friends or you're going to pull a me and enjoy your day with your dog, making a steak and your favorite stuffing recipe because that's your like all-time favorite food, but you only eat it at Thanksgiving. So like whatever you're doing, sit in the moment and be like, this is a lot of what I'm grateful for. I did this thing and I want to share. And again, I'm really hoping you're listening and feeling that no matter where you are in life, who you are, anything going on, it's just there's probably nothing more powerful than leaning into loving yourself and being grateful. And it's not a gender thing. Like it's not like only women can love themselves or only people that have certain like everyone should get that. Everyone deserves it. Everyone absolutely needs it. And I feel like there's nothing better than feeling like you love yourself outside of every external validation, outside of anybody telling you, outside of how much money you make or what your job is or how successful you've grown in your career or how big your business is, regardless of all of those external things, just knowing that you existing is enough is probably like the greatest gift anyone can receive. So this is my attempt at giving you a gift to try to remind you of those things and how important and special you are to this world, because you should know that. So let me tell you a little thing that I did because I wish I could do it for all y'all, every single person that listens. But not that long ago, I'm working with a great mentor of mine, and he had this whole process where I was sending voice notes to people in my life that really mattered to me. And just like a quick, 1-minute message of why this person was important to my life, what I enjoyed about them, etc. And it was so fun actually to do it because I thought of the person and if I didn't give you one and you're a close friend of mine, I'm sorry, like I'll get around to everybody because I absolutely love this and it took 1 minute of my time, but it gave me so much of a good feeling in my heart. And I left this 1-minute voicemail and just like told this group of people, you know, the things I loved about them. And the wild thing is, when I sent these, I wasn't really thinking about what they would say back to me. And my mentor was actually, it was part of a process where I was supposed to in turn end up asking them if they felt called to do the same for me. But I felt like, oh, a little bait and switch. I sent it out and then I'm like, oh, can you do one for me? And that was hard for me, but that's another topic. But me just sending them out, the responses back filled my heart more than even me asking them for messages, because every single one of them had so much gratitude and was like, I really needed to hear that right now. That means so much to me. Like, I realized because some of my friends, were life's busy. I don't see them all every day, especially my ones from back home. And so for me to just take 1 minute out of my day and just send a message like that, hearing what they wrote back, it felt like all of them absolutely needed to hear that. And that was like filling my cup probably more than anything I could have ever expected. And so I challenge you on this lovely holiday week that if you could just think of a few people in your life who are sending a short voice note or even a text if you're not into that voice note, like, hey man, like your friendship really matters to me and I just wanted you to know. I feel like sometimes we don't give compliments to the people who are in our life so frequently. Like we might see a stranger and be like, "Oh, nice dress." Or we might, well, if you're a girl. For men, I feel like compliments that doesn't happen very often, but it should. It should. Because everyone loves to feel like someone sees them for who they are and appreciates it. There's a lot of work what we do in self-love, and that really does have to come from within. And we have to love who we are, regardless of what everyone else thinks. And that has been a trip for me. But what feeds into you being able to love yourself often is hearing from others what you know you need to believe about yourself. So when you're having a hard time understanding how worthy you are to be here, and then someone that truly knows you or cares about you in your life tells you the things that you're trying to remind yourself about yourself, it's so helpful for you to go, oh yeah, if Billy thinks that, I mean, maybe it is true. And sometimes you can get there a little easier by having those external cheerleaders. So even though the main goal is to get to a place where you don't need any validation from others to feel whole, on the journey to get there, having people around you that support you and love you and give you those words of affirmation and remind you how important you are, it's so much of like a lot of momentum to help you get there. So this is what this episode is really about. If you're already like, I can't even get here in my mind, I'm sorry, but I want you to, because this is the week you're thankful. I know you're going to get into the hustle and bustle of the holidays. Like everything's happening and it's so easy to just keep moving through the motions of life and being stressed. I am grateful for once for the opposite, for it to be a little slow for me. I look at my previous life and I remember preparing for Thanksgiving and I was like getting up early, getting the turkey, like everything was like, I got to make it perfect. Nah, nah, nah. And there would be moments when I'd be like, my ex-husband would be sitting on the couch and I'd be like, and he was a great help, don't get me wrong. But, he can't read my mind. Guess what? I get divorced and realize clearly now men can't read your mind. Like it took me that long, but here we are. No one can read your mind. And men don't think like women. And so there was a lot of lessons there. But the point is I would be getting like so frustrated about some things sometimes. Like, oh, help me with this. This isn't done. We don't have time. Da 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 da. Hustle and bustle. It's like, I'm grateful I have a house to host in and food to put on a table and family that wants to come over. But yet I'm like, oh, the table isn't perfect. This isn't great. Why is that? Why was I wasting my time and energy making little things such a big deal? I don't know. I don't know. And so Thanksgiving was kind of that reminder for me that it just felt like sometimes we were like enjoying it. We would enjoy it for like a minute and then we were just ready for it to be over and then clean up and then go on. And it was like very transactional in a lot of ways. And I feel like that's a good example of how our lives get when we don't slow down and think about just being present and being grateful for where we're at in life and what we have and who we have in our lives. I feel like we push good things and good people out of our lives when we're just trying to overthink it, trying to make it more than it needs to be, trying to get frustrated. It really is this cycle of a groundhog day of just rinse and repeat. And then the day is over and we don't really even remember the moments we were happiest half the time. And luckily, I don't have many, if any, days like that anymore. But I have to work really hard to get there. And I want to remind you when you're going through your day that there's people in your life that you might be making the whole situation with those people a lot harder because you're expecting things from others that you may need to just let go of. They may not need to be that important. I did that so much in my marriage. And I think back, if I went back, you know, so many things wouldn't have been as a big of a deal and as important as they were. And even in my life, when I was making decisions about in corporate or in my career, there's so many things that just I lost sleep over. I got so frustrated about that really don't matter. And so when we can kind of stop and be like, is this thought even serving me? Like, is this even important? Is this an argument worth starting? Is this gossip worth talking about? That's been another thing I've realized in my mindset shift. And as I've been through this journey, is that it doesn't make you feel good to say anything bad about other people. Like it's like a temporary, like you're kind of like, oh, well, damn, like that judgment piece comes out and you're blaming but really you're just projecting your own anger or frustration and you're making it about someone else. But the more that you work through life and you realize that anything you're really saying about anyone else is like a projection of your own self. Isn't that crazy to think about? The reason someone makes you mad or triggers you or whatever, there's something within yourself that needs to be addressed. And I'm not saying that people that have done you wrong, you can't be like, yeah, that's not someone I want to be around. But nitpicking everything about them isn't really going to help a dang thing. And sometimes we just have to realize, well, that person's just not going to be in my life. Dodged a bullet there. They're not even that fun. They're not even that cool. Like they're not even like, you don't even really have to say that, I guess. I mean, I think that in my head, I try not to say it out loud. But I'm like, that's just not, I kind of say it like that's not my vibe. Like that person's just not my vibe. And I'm not everyone's vibe. And that's okay. Another very hard concept for me to work through. But I think when we can just let that go instead of like wasting any more energy getting upset at some person that's just not our vibe, we save more energy for good things in our life. Even like I saw this woman at the store and she was getting so frustrated at how confused and slow the cashier was. I don't know what kind of time this lady had. She probably was in a rush. And I feel like we've all been there where we're like, really, I chose the slow line. Like, this is really what's happening here. And this is going to happen even more around the holidays. In fact, it happened to me the other day when I was at buying something and this woman was buying like a million things. And so they were wrapping them and it was taking forever. And I kind of thought, like, should I even get these things now? Like, it's taking so long. But then I was like, why am I getting so upset? Feeling upset, it doesn't really make me feel good. And if you like stop when you're there, so like this woman in the line that was getting so mad, it was almost like making me anxious because I was watching her watch the woman and it was a whole energy of like everyone's just pissed. Hurry it up, hurry it up. It's like this may sound like a little like woo, like what are you? But I'm thinking in my head, like, is this even that big of a deal? Like, this lady's, like, capable of buying a whole basket of groceries. She's able to stand. She's just chilling there. Like, can she like, probably one good song. Put your AirPods on, one good song, and the lady will be done checking this person out. You know, one good song. What song do you feel like hearing? Turn on my podcast. I should have said that. But the point is, it's like, there's really no reason to give us our energy to, like, things we can't control. Like, this lady getting mad about the cashier being a little slow was not, like, making the cashier any faster. And we all know this, but for some reason, our response to something not going as we planned, meaning our whatever we expected, she expected to quickly get through the line, wasn't happening. Well, it's out of her control and she's still getting mad. Like, why? It's kind of a crazy concept. And I can relate it to so much in our lives because, again, in my marriage, I was getting upset about things outside of my control as if that was going to help anything. And I realized probably because that was such a time to self reflect getting divorced, it probably taught me more about myself and the person I want to be than anything else that's ever happened to me. So for that, I am grateful because I'm not sure when I would have stopped and reflected if I didn't take myself out of that situation. So I'll kind of wrap this up. It's really just me wanting to give gratitude for y'all. It's wanting me to be thankful for this opportunity to just hold a mic and have anyone that so happenstance comes and finds my podcast to listen to me talk. And I'm grateful for that. If there's one person or 1,000 people that hear this, it just makes my heart happy to know that I can kind of just share my life and my feelings and my thoughts with people that I hopefully can take something from it and resonate with it. And I'll kind of end this by telling you that if you take anything from this, it's that you're worthy and that happiness is in this moment. Happiness isn't when you get the promotion. Happiness isn't when you buy that next truck. Happiness isn't when you find a partner to love forever. Happiness isn't anything outside of you. Happiness is already here if you let it. We are truly meant to be here, to be happy and blissful and joyful. And I know the world wants us to be dramatic and dark. And that's why it's just easier, I think, to feel like the whole world is falling apart because people just feel more comfortable thinking that that's the way it is. I don't know why. I mean, I've been there. I go there sometimes. It'd be easier to just to fall back into this woe is me. I feel like people like to, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to target anyone, but in life, a lot of people feel comfortable being a victim because they can blame outside circumstances or other people for them not being where they want to be in their life. And that's easier because you don't have to be like, well, I just don't know how to love myself and be happy with what I have and be grateful for who I am. I'm so worried about all these other things, but don't worry, it's not my fault because this happened to me and my parents did this or my ex cheated or my boss is that. It's just so much easier because it's not your fault, right? Like everyone else is doing this to you. You're just you're just there. Like you're perfect pretty much. If all those other things wouldn't have happened, you would be much different. But the truth is, you can be much different anytime, even if those things happen to you. You can completely be different tomorrow. No one's like holding your feet to the fire saying, like, you got to be this person forever. No one, nothing. It's you. And I hope you're not like turning off this podcast right now pissed at me because you're like, don't tell me it's me. These hard things have happened. I get it. Hard things have definitely happened for me too. And I say for me because I definitely took some of my greatest lessons from the hardest things that have ever happened to me. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am. And that's with you. Without those lessons, you wouldn't be where you are. So you can either dwell on them or learn from them. Love yourself or be mad at everybody else. Like, I guess those aren't your only choices. But if one day out of the year you can think of all the reasons why you're great and be thankful for yourself, I hope this is the day. I hope this is the day. You matter. I'm doing this for you and for me and for all of us. I promise to get a little more messy, but I could not pass this opportunity on a week that we really should reflect always, but on a week it seems very timely to reflect on what we're thankful for. I just want to say I'm thankful for y'all. If you want to give me a Thanksgiving gift or be kind, text your friends this week. Even Thanksgiving's like a perfect day. Hey, I'm thankful for you. It doesn't have to be cheesy. People might act like that's weird. I don't know how to take it because some people aren't used to compliments. Believe me, they still love it. They still love it. Not even a person. I have a girlfriend of mine. I text her kind things. She's like, I don't even know what to say. I want to cry though. Because some people don't get that. So be that person for someone. And you can also go to my website, wanderingthewildmess.com, and ask me any questions. Tell me what you want to hear about. I'd love to be able to give you more of what makes you feel good. Because guess what? This is our time. No one has to know you're trying to better yourself by listening to this episode. So if you want to listen to it again, do it. Our little secret. Thanks so much for listening to Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. You matter.